I'll just start with you again with a simple question. As women, why is it that women actually tend to go through, they tend to go over it more than men, as in depression? Is it because they talk too much? Because in general, you find that women, they overtalk more than men, and they overexpress themselves. We call it sometimes gossiping, I don't know. But how come, they tend to get over it more than the gender? Does depression affect us? It hit us differently according to our genders? Or why is it that women get over it very fast?
Interesting that you point those issues, because with the teenagers, we can see, at least in Sweden, that boys tend to get more help, tend to be more aggressive, tend to express themselves in fighting, and tend to get maybe diagnosed with depression. And girls, because girls are supposed not to express themselves, they're supposed to be so good, and they're supposed to enjoy the feelings. And that's interesting, because with teenagers, it's exactly the opposite.
Wow. What's your take, Madam Reese, about that?
Well, I would say that with women, we are meant to be the ones that can content the most.
Okay.
We're meant to be the ones that should be managing. We should be managing the homes. We should be managing everything. We should be having everything working. So I feel like it's like a coping, that it's very easy, though there are many women also who are suffering with depression, but it's a coping mechanism that makes us help us to the days to go, because there is a way that we are supposed to be in society. Expectation. We must have the good homes. We must have the functioning children. So what will they call it? We will sigakosiaje, like
Okay. You tend to know.
we can paint coat it. We can also coat it,
But inside you totally dying.
Yeah, but bottom line, depression is real. But then still, there is a difference between depression and dealing with problems and dealing with life challenges. I'll still want to be clear on that, because just because you have a lot of things that are going through or are going on in your life doesn't necessarily mean that you have a depression. Because some people, the way that they're coping with life, because we've had successful people, even like professional football players and professional athletes, that say that the activities that they're doing, they're the ones that are helping them cope. And then if the next person, or even us who see them on television, we cannot see, or we cannot realize that they have been really going through a hard time. But when they're running or when they're doing an activity, it helps their mind to focus on something else and on the real problems that they're going through.
I would like to ask you the same question that I tried to ask Brother Fahad when before we joined into before we broadcasted live. How come that the natives here in Europe, in terms of the race, we the foreigners, we tend not to be totally hit? Do we have just a hard skin, or are we? I mean, the question is, why is it that the natives are really totally hit as compared to we the foreigners? Are we just born with a hard skin? We cannot just take it, just we can easily maneuver through it, or what's your take on that? Question is.
So I think actually that I don't think that it's about. I think it's I have two answers. The first answer is, first of all, is that I think that the foreigners who come here, they have a lot of expectation back home. They maybe don't have the time to feel how they are going through. Maybe you come here, you have two children, the children must go into the society, and then you have your relatives at home that when you move here, automatically the relatives at home, they see you have succeeded. They will never understand what you're going through here. They will think you are in the diaspora, everything for you, it's good. And that that issue can maybe cause you that you don't want to speak about your problems. You don't want to address them. You don't want to feel about them. Just go on and go on and go on. But if you see that you see about the diseases like diabetics, like the physical deficiencies people in the 60s or 70s that moved here have compared to the natives, like diabetes is much higher, because when you don't address the mental issue, it affects your physical body. I think that's one. The other one is that because of we in our society in Uganda, we don't have so much talk about depression. We don't have the access. We don't have the help. The people who grew up in another country, because of they don't have that, is very, very, very. They don't speak about it, because here at the age, even if you're a child, you can have help for your depression. Compare it Sweden, Norway, Denmark, or Finland, that children can get help about depression. Compare that to Uganda. There is no children that I know of that could go to a facility or talk to a psychiatrist to address the issue about mental illness or depression. And then when you grow up in that society, you move here, you don't have that in the culture. You don't have that in the culture at all. So I think that's the two answers. I think that I don't think we are more hard-skinned. I think just that we are afraid to speak about it, and I think that we try to pretend that there is no such problem.